Hi, this is me. In this video, I'm going to share a mixing session that I did. The song is called Me and My Crew by Will Evans, and I have downloaded the stem files from Telefunken Studio. I'll show you how it sounds before any plugins applied. This is how it sounds.
Some find strength in the Bible, and others find courage in a bottle. But when you stripped up dignity, it becomes necessity to fight for your right of survival. So get up, shut up, and do something other than ripping on the people who be doing it for the love of the upbeat, the deadbeat, the hipped out hippie. Playing fuckers me with the bucket on the street, said me and my crew are gonna get through it.
And now after some mixing, it sounds something like this.
Some find strength in the Bible, and others find courage in a bottle. But when you stripped up dignity, it becomes necessity to fight for your right of survival. So get up, shut up, and do something other than ripping on the people who be doing it for the love of the upbeat, the deadbeat, the hipped out hippie. Playing fuckers me with the bucket on the street, said me and my crew are gonna get through it. Yeah, I said now me and my crew, there ain't nothing too bad when the gloves are off. I said now me and
So now I'll show how I mix the song. This is how I treated the bass. First, how it sounds without any plugin. And after the parametric EQ, saturation knob, and this compressor. And this is how the other bass sounds, the bass amp. Some saturation, and then this bass end in the drum bus, where after the plugin is, it sounds like this. This is how the kick sound without any plugin. After the EQ, some saturation, and the compressor. And afterward this will be sent to this drum bus. Let's move on to the kick out. This is the sound of kick out. This is the EQ, compressor. The kick sounds like this together, and in the drum bus, after going into the drum bus, it sounds like this. Let's move on to the snare. This is the sound of snare without any mixing. After parametric EQ, compressor, and this is snare bottom. Snare bottom sounds like this. Parametric EQ, compression, and both of them sounds like this. And after going into the bus, the sound changes to this one. Let's move on to the overheads. Overhead sounds like this without any plugin. You can see lots of bleed of kick and snare. For that we have used this. This cut could have been like this. The bleed is gone, and after the compressor, this is the compressor. And in the drum bus, after going into the drums, it sounds like this. And also this overheads are also going into this saturation bus without the saturation. Now let's move on to the toms. In the toms we have got these two sounds of toms. One is panned to the left, the other to the right, and it's sending a signal to the saturation. Without this saturation and without this plugin, which is the EQ, it sounds like this. After EQ and after the saturation, and the other tom is, this is the tom right without any plugin. After the EQ and after the saturation, both these tom are going to this drum bus. So in the drum bus it sounds like this. Now let's move on to the drum room sound. This is the drum room sound without any plugin. This is the EQ without EQ. With EQ. Let's move on to the guitars. In guitars we have got two guitars. One is panned to the left, the other to the right. This is how it sounds without any plugin. This is the EQ without it. With it. Compression without compression, with compression, and the saturation. This guitar is sending its signal to this saturation. Without this saturation, with saturation, and the reverb on the right. Without reverb, with reverb. Let's move on to the guitar on the right. This is guitar on the right without any plugin. EQ without EQ, with EQ, compression, and the saturation. Reverb on the right, on the left. Both guitars together. Let's move on to this horn sound. This is horn without any plugin. After EQ, after this compressor, after another compression, without all of them, with them, and I'll add the widener without it, with it, after saturation, the reverb, and the hall reverb. Let's move on to the keys. This is the keys on the left, pan to the left, without it, without the reverb. It sounds like this. After EQ, saturation, and the reverb, it sounds like this. Let's move on to the other keys. This is another keys. I think it's a kind of Rhodes piano or electric piano. It is panned to the right. This is how it sounds without any plugin. EQ and the saturation and the reverb on the left. Now let's move on to the background vocals. Okay, so in the background vocals I've got two vocals. One is panned to the left, the other to the right. This is how it sounds without any plugin. After the EQ, just the EQ, nothing else. and almost same is done with the vocal on the right. This is EQ and the compressor. This limiter is used as a compressor, which I think doing nothing. Anyway, these vocals together. I've not even used reverb on it because the vocals were not clean. Let's go to the main lead vocal. This is how the lead vocal sound without any plugins.
Some find strength in the Bible, and others find courage in a
This is the
bottle.
EQ.
But when you stripped up dignity, it become necessity to fight for your right of survival. So get up, shut up, do
This is the
something
equalizer,
other than on the people who be doing it
which
for the
is
love of the upbeat, the deadbeat, the hips out hippie, playing for me
a
with the
plugin
bucket
provided
on
by
the
the
street,
Focus
said me
Light.
and my crew
Without it,
gonna get through this.
with it.
Yes,
Another
said to me
3
and my
band
crew,
splitter and
ain't nothing to it
the
when
saturation
gloves
applied to
rock.
it.
Said to me and my crew, we're taking
I
you
think
higher.
I have used too much of saturation here, that's why vocal becomes very thin. This is the Maximus plugin. This is how I mixed it.
Some find strength in the Bible, and others
And
find
another
courage in
compressor.
the bottle. But when you stripped up dignity, it become necessity to fight for your
Without
right
all
of
these plugins.
survival. So get up, shut up, do something
With the
other than
plugins.
ripping on the people who be doing it for
These
the love
two
of the upbeat,
compressors
the
are
deadbeat, the
used to
hips
get
out
the
hippie,
volume.
playing
First is
for
shaping
me
the
with
concept,
bucket
the
on
other one
street,
is
said me and my crew
giving the volume.
are gonna get through this.
And then this goes to the vocal patcher.
Ain't nothing to it when the gloves are
In the vocal patcher, there is reverb. This is the room reverb.
Some find strength in the
Without
Bible, and others find
With
courage
it.
in a bottle. But when you stripped up dignity,
And this is the
it
hall
becomes
reverb.
necessity to fight for your right of survival.
Both of
So
it
get
together.
Up, shut up, do something other than ripping on the people who be doing it
Little
for
bit
the
of
love of
widening.
the upbeat, the deadbeat, the
Slap,
hips out
delay.
hippie, playing for me with the bucket on the street, said me and my crew.
This is how I EQ'd my room reverb. Without it, this is the EQ of the room reverb, and this is the EQ of hall reverb. Without it,
On the people who be doing it for the love of the upbeat, the deadbeat, the hips out hippie, playing for me with the bucket on the street, said me and my crew
everything together.
are gonna get through this.
This slap delay,
Yes, I said to me and my crew,
it shines the
ain't
vocal.
nothing to it when the gloves are off. I
Everything
said to me
together.
and my crew, we're taking you higher. I said to me and my crew,
Sounds good.
always there to inspire and push you over the edge. Do do da da do do da, don't. Do do da da do da, don't. 'Cause once you're on the road,
I think
you're
sounds
already
good.
gone. You can't stop it once you set it in motion. And through the ebb and the flow we grow. 'Cause what starts in the stream always ends in the ocean. And all along
Drum
we
sounds
forget
quite
about what
punchy.
you gotta do, what you
Look at the
gotta do.
drums. Okay, I forgot to mention the drum sound, how the drum bus is processed. So this is how the drum sounds without any plugins, just the drum sound. First the drum quantizer, and then blurred overdrive saturation, and then this pre-box saturation, then this compressor, and also this hard compression just beneath this drum. This is the hard compression. It could have been compressed further, like this. It's sitting just beneath the drum sound. I think this is how it was before.
Not about the ripping on the people who be doing it for the love of the upbeat, the deadbeat, the hips out hippie, playing for me with the bucket on the street, said me and my crew.
And now I'll show you how the mastering is done without This sounds like this.
Some find strength in the Bible.
This is the pre-box, which is the
courage
saturator.
in a bottle. But when you stripped up dignity, it
Without
becomes
it.
necessity to fight for your right of survival. Get up, shut up, do something other than ripping on the people who be doing it for the love of the
mid-side
upbeat, the deadbeat, the hip hop.
In that mid side, this is how the song sounds in mono.
Some find strength in the Bible, and others
This is
find
mono.
courage in a bottle. But when you stripped up dignity,
Now
it
stereo.
becomes necessity to fight for your right of survival.
This is how the only stereo sounds. This is the EQ of stereo setting. This is mono.
Gonna get through it. Yes, I said to me and my crew. Ain't
Without-
nothing too bad.
with the
When
EQ
gloves
on
are
mono.
off, I said to me and my crew.
I have attenuated these all frequencies just to 4 dB, near about 4 dB minus 3.6 dB, because these are the frequency which are boosted in the stereo. See, that is how I did it.
Some find strength in the Bible.
After adding
Others
stereo.
find courage in a bottle. But when you stripped up dignity, it becomes necessity to fight for your right of survival. Get up, shut up, do something
And then
other
the
than ripping on the people who be
Maximus.
doing it for the love of the upbeat, the deadbeat, the hip hop, hippie. Playing
In the lows, it sounds like this.
in a bottle. But when you stripped up
This is
dignity,
the
it
mids,
becomes necessity
the highs, and everything.
do something other than ripping on the people who be doing it for the love of the upbeat, the deadbeat, the hip
This
hop,
is the
hippie. Playing
final
focus me
EQ.
with the bucket on the street, said me and my crew are gonna get through it. Yes, I said to me and my crew,
Without it.
ain't nothing too bad when the gloves are off. I said to me and my crew, are taking you higher. I said to me and my crew,
Sounds good.
always there to win.
Okay, so that is how I mix this song. To me, this is one of my finest mix. Maybe because of the way these drums, everything is recorded. The recording engineer has done a wonderful job. Makes my task very easy. If you have watched my previous video, you have noticed that my process is very simple. I focus mostly on the EQ. If the EQ is done right, everything sounds good. You don't need much of other plugins, especially compressors. You might have noticed that I don't use much of compressors, because even without compressors you can achieve good mix. Compressors has only two job. First, it shapes the transient, it gives you a volume control, and then it gives a new kind of sound. It adds something to your sound. I only use it when I have to get the loudness control, and sometimes when I need to have a change in the sound. Otherwise, EQ is the most important thing for any song to sound good. So this was my mix. I hope you like it. If you have something to say about it, please do mention it in the comment, and I'll be happy reading it. Anything you want to say, just write it down. So this is me signing off. Goodbye. Keep learning, enjoy practicing. Thanks Telefunken Studios and Mr. Bill Evans. Sorry, Phil Evans, I'm sorry. Me and my crew. Sounds great. Sounds good.
Some find strength in the Bible, and others find courage in a bottle. But when you stripped up dignity, it becomes necessity to fight for your right of survival. Get up, shut up, do something other than ripping on the people who be doing it for the love
Thanks
of the
for watching.
The deadbeat, the hip hop, hippie. Playing focus me with the bucket on the street, said